Hello there, high-level listeners. We've got a brand new video here for you today, how to start a small talk conversation in English about sports.
Yes, we do. This was another idea kindly suggested to us by some of our subscribers. So if you're interested in learning to chat very casually with your friends, colleagues, family, or even strangers about sports, and in improving your fluency, vocabulary, and conversational English all in one place, we're here to help.
Yes, we are. Hi, everybody. We're High Level Listening, an intermediate and advanced English podcast duo with side-by-side American and British English. I'm Kat from the United States.
And I'm Mark from the UK. Together, we want to help you take your English to the next level with real-life conversational English and speaking practice.
Now, you might be thinking, well, I don't even really like sports. Don't worry, we've got you covered. Sports can be a very simple and nice way to get to know someone, and it's a really great small talk topic, whether you're really into sports or if you just want to keep the conversation going when chatting with friends.
So in this episode, we'll get started by going through a list of useful vocabulary items and then give you an explanation and some examples. And of course, we'll share any big differences between the US and the UK. These words will appear in some questions that you can use to start conversations in the second half of the episode. So Kat will start us off.
Are you into this sport? When we ask a question, do you like? Do you like tennis? Do you like baseball? A very conversational way to ask, do you like, is are you into? Are you into basketball? Are you into baseball?
Second phrase has a difference between the US and the UK. In the United States, I believe they say the game. We're going to watch the game. The game is a sports game of American football, basketball, baseball, a football game, basketball game, baseball game. In England, though, the word changes. It's the match. The match. The football match. I played in a football match. Last night, I watched a tennis match. Are you watching the match later today? So in the US, the game. In the UK, the match.
What I like about that one is in the US, we would call it a soccer game, and Mark would call it a football match, right? So I quite like that. The one time we do keep the word match is for tennis, a tennis match, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, I like that one too. All right, so for our next one, we're going to catch the game. Now, why do we use the word the game? Because it's the important one, the one I want to watch, right? So, hey, are you going to catch the game tonight? Now, Mark is probably going to say a different word. Catch the game sounds really American. So I would probably say for the British side, he would probably say watch the match. I would say catch the game. Mark would say, watch the match.
The next phrase that you'll hear in the questions later is big. The word big. You might hear this in a few places. Big plans, the big game, or the big match. In this context, big means important. So the big match is the match that is very important. The one that everyone is going to watch tonight. Maybe it's the World Cup final. Maybe it's two big teams playing each other, and it's always a good competition. Two big teams, important teams with lots of good players and lots of money and fans. That makes a big match. So we're using the because you probably know it, and big because it's important. Sometimes if there's a big game, you make big plans. Maybe you're going to invite people to your house. You're going to have some snacks and some food while watching the big game. The big game would be like the Super Bowl in the US or, like I said, World Cup finals or tournament finals.
Honestly, for the big game, I would even just say a really important game, even especially for an American football, which we just call it football, a football game. Yeah. Are you watching the big game this weekend? Yeah, it's an important game. It's not just one of the usual games. So yeah, the big game sounds like a really nice, fun game to watch. So we've got kind of three verbs for this next one. We've got to support your team, to root for your team, and to cheer for your team. So to support your team, root for, and cheer for. To support your team, we say, both Mark and I use this one, to support your team. That means to watch the game, to cheer them on, maybe even go to the game, and we want to support them. We want to cheer them on, and hopefully that, they'll do their best so that they can win. Now, one of these verbs is probably more common in the United States, to root for someone. So who are you rooting for? Yes, we're rooting for the home team. So we are cheering them on. Yeah, you can do it. Or we're rooting for them. That means I really want them to win.
Another pair of verbs which is commonly mixed up between students, to win and to beat. What's the difference between win and beat? Well, your team can win a match, win a game, win a tournament, or win a trophy. So you win something. You win an event, win a medal at the Olympic Games, or you win something. But beat is you beat someone. If you beat someone, then you win, they lose. So we'll often say, my team beat them last night. We beat them 2-1. Or Tottenham beat Real Madrid. So win the match, beat your opponent.
The next one, these are some really important games. Usually this would be at the end of the sports season. We have a few different words for them. The playoffs. The playoffs are when the best teams are playing each other to be the final winner. So we've got the playoffs. We've got the final. The final sounds like the championship or the very last game of the season to see who finally wins at the end. So we've got the playoffs, usually because there's a few different games. Then we've got the final, because that sounds like the last game. And then we've also got another phrase, the championship.
In the UK, the final would be the common one. We don't have playoffs in British sports in our system, so it's the final, the last match.
Okay.
Next phrase, if I like a team, I am a fan of the team. If I support Tottenham, I'm a fan of Tottenham. So you can use this for specific teams. I'm a fan of Barcelona. I'm a fan of PSG. And you can talk about entire sports. If you like football, I'm a fan of football. I'm a football fan. I like basketball. I'm a fan of basketball. I'm a basketball fan. I'm a big, you can use big here, which means I really, really like. I'm a big LA Lakers fan, or I'm a big Houston Astros fan. So if you are really, really passionate, you've got shirts, you've got merchandise, you've been to the games a lot, you're a big fan.
The next one we have would be local teams. Now, local teams can be really small, like your 5-year-old is playing in the T-ball, the local T-ball league. We've got the local teams that would be in your city, in your town. But if you live in a big city, they could be the professional teams as well. So I'm from Houston, and my local team would be the Houston Texans and the Houston Astros and the Houston Rockets. So we also have the Houston Dynamo. We've got lots of sports teams in Houston. Those would be my local teams. That means my home team as well, which means that they are in my home, right? In my hometown, my home team or the local team.
Next phrase, fantasy leagues. A fantasy league or a fantasy team is something that fans do for fun. I think there are lots of websites where you can build your own team. You can choose what players are in your team, and when they play in real life, you get points. If your team, if the real players do well, then you get points on your fantasy team. Some people have a group of 10 friends. Some people have 100 people in these big leagues. And it's a hobby. It's for fun. Sometimes it's quite competitive. I know people who bet real money on who can win the league. And it follows real sports. So if a real player gets injured or hurt, people go, oh no, he was in my fantasy league. Because now my league doesn't have that player. So I don't know everything about this. I know it can be very complicated and very serious for some people, but a lot of people do it for fun. Football, basketball, baseball, any sport will probably have a fantasy league version. These are online games where you can try to be a manager or a coach and see if you can do better than the real life athletes.
I would say almost all of my friends have either a husband or they both participate in the fantasy league. And it's something fun to stay invested all season to have your fantasy league. And I think it's fun. I think there are a lot of Americans out there who definitely have fantasy leagues. For the next one, in person. In person would be similar to live, happening right now. So if I go to a game in person, that means that I'm physically walking into the stadium to watch the game right there, live and in person.
The next phrase, highlight or highlights. So a highlight, one highlight, is a very exciting or important moment of a game. It's a short video of someone scoring a point, winning the match, or doing something very impressive or athletic and important. Sometimes, though, on YouTube, for example, they upload a long video of the full game from start to finish, and they take the most exciting and interesting parts. That video is called the highlights. It's all the highlights put together. So if you missed the game and you didn't watch it live, that's okay. Just watch the highlights later, and you can see all the important bits of the match.
Now, we've got some specific words for you, and they can change from sport to sport, but these are all nouns. So we have different highlights, different important things that happen: a play, a run, a basket, a home run, a goal. So a play, that's pretty much in almost any sport where something is happening and it results in a goal, or it results in a point, or it doesn't. So okay, I'm going to you, and then you go back to me, and then we score. That all together was a play. So we have that in basketball, we have that in soccer, we have that in baseball, all sorts of different plays. Then we've got a run or a home run. We use that in baseball. A basket or a three-pointer or a two-pointer. Is that even the word? I don't follow basketball.
I'm not a fan.
So, and then, see, I don't really follow that. It's okay. We're still here for a sports lesson, even if we don't follow all the sports. And then we've got a goal. A goal is going to be in soccer, and a goal obviously is that it? A goal?
Hockey. A hockey
Yeah,
goal.
a hockey
Ice
goal. There we
hockey.
go.
Of course, ice
Yeah.
hockey. Okay, last vocabulary word. Then we'll go into the questions. Your chances. Chances is a short form of chances of winning, chances of victory. And when you talk about your team, you can say, what are your chances? Do you like your chances tonight? It means, do you think your team will win tonight? Good chances means they're likely to win. If you don't like your team's chances, it means you think they're going to lose. There's our chances if you're talking about my team and someone else who's also a fan. Your chances is for your team. Their chances is a team that I don't support and you don't support. So chances is their likelihood of winning.
All right. So next up, we've put together some really common and very useful questions that you can use with this new vocabulary to help you start those conversations with other people about sports. So we'll read each question once. So listen carefully and try to repeat after us. Are you into any sports? What do you usually watch?
Are you into any sports? What do you usually watch?
Did you catch the game last night?
Did you watch the match last night?
Any big plans for watching the game this weekend?
Any big plans for watching the match this weekend?
Who's your team? Are they playing this week?
Who's your team? Are they playing this week?
Who are you rooting for this season?
Who do you support?
What did you think of that last game?
What did you think of that last match?
Who do you think is going to win the playoffs?
Who do you think is going to win the final?
Do you play any sports?
Do you play any sports?
Did you play any sports growing up?
Do you play any sports growing up?
Are you a fan of any of the local teams around here?
Are you a fan of any of the local teams around here?
What's your favorite sport to watch?
What's your favorite sport to watch?
Are you in any fantasy leagues? How's your team doing?
Are you in any fantasy leagues? How's your team doing?
What sports are popular where you're from?
What sports are popular where you're from?
Do you ever go to the games in person?
Do you ever go to the games in person?
Did you see that highlight from the game last night?
Did you see that highlight from the match last night?
How do you feel about our chances this season?
How do you feel about our chances this season?
Have you gone to any fun games lately?
Have you gone to any fun matches lately? All right. Well done, everybody. We hope you learned some new questions and vocabulary to help you talk about sports, even if you're not a big sports fan and you don't always know what to say. Like usual, tell us if there are any new words or questions that you heard in this episode. Which ones were your favorites? Let us know in the comments below. We read and reply to all of them.
Yes, absolutely. We would love if you wanted to answer some of these questions as well. We read and reply to everyone, so this is a great chance for you to practice with us and get some feedback. Don't forget, you can get a PDF list of all the vocab and the questions in this episode if you become a high-level listening member. You can see details on how to do that in the description below. You can join us here on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching us today, and we look forward to seeing you again in our very next episode. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.